Hi, today we're going to go over how to set up an options navigation between one menu. We're going into a new one and then we're going to go back out. Now, we also want to try to support gamepads or controllers rather, and we want to be able to make sure that we are at least giving the player an indicator which option they had selected, which one they then used to go into a menu, and then when they come out, they're where they were when they entered, so they're not getting lost. So this is how it works. We have a couple of different options over here. This is our main menu. We've got options, we've got controls. When we select options, we go into the options. They can do whatever they want over here. As you can see, it has made the main menu disappear. When we return, we are back to the main menu to the item that was selected, in this case, the options. And just to demonstrate, if we go into controls, we're at the control screen. We have some items selected. We're going to return back and we're exactly on controls. And just to show you what I mean, so that was mouse and keyboard. We are now using a controller. I have a controller over here. I'm going to set options. We're going to go in. I'm going to select different things. We're going to go back out and we are back on options because that was what we selected to go into the options to begin with. Same with controls. We're going to controls, and then we're returning, we're back on controls. So, how do we actually implement this? The uh, the important concept here to understand is what is a canvas group. So, firstly, we have just a canvas. Our main menu sits on that, and the main menu has got a canvas group. Now, anything that has a canvas group can be made visible or invisible, as you can see what's happening here with this alpha value. Interactable and blocking raycast. So interactable means that it will fire off interaction events. And raycast means that, say, when you move your mouse over something and click it, those are raycast events because from the tip of your cursor, it goes onto the menu item. And and that is what block raycasts mean. It also does mean that the menu that is most furthest on top, think about as layers, and the layer that is closest to you, closest to the mouse, is the layer that will block these raycasts first when it goes through. So this is how you can control different layers of your menu being something that when you click on it, does the mouse register some kind of event from it or not? So that's what it is. Then we've got ignore parent groups. So this means that because we can put a canvas group as an item on anything, obviously we already have one on this, it's giving me an error that I shouldn't add another. But if you have another canvas group, say on something deeper down, for example, if we our options UI that we actually brought up over there by selecting the options menu, it's got a canvas group because canvas groups only affect itself and its children. So if you have multiple layers of canvas groups on different children through the hierarchy, and you want to only manipulate some that are further down, ignoring whatever the parent canvas groups are, that is what this symbol, or rather this Boolean value is for. So now that we know what canvas groups do and allow, or rather allow us to do, how do we actually hook this up? So like I said, we got a canvas, we got our main menu. This button manager is how we're going to be accessing the different controls. You can see there's different bindings. I've just hidden a bunch of the other ones that are not relevant, just to so we're not getting confused. And from there, we're then going to use these buttons to bring up different UIs. So it's good to get into the habit of naming something that is just dealing with the UI, maybe throwing UI into its name. Obviously, each team to their own, but this is how we're doing it. So when we actually manipulate this options button, as you can see, the options button actually does nothing by itself. Yes, we have this thing. It's just to manage the sound when you click the sounds, but don't worry about it. Imagine this wasn't even there. It is just a button. And the main menu Button Manager actually handles all the logic for all the buttons. So nothing lives on a button. You don't have to be selecting different buttons to find out where to go. So how does this work? First thing, we have the main menu button manager. This is where we are entering the menus from. We've got open options, open controls. Very simple. They have got a reference to that canvas group, to their local canvas group. So this guy has got his own canvas group reference, just so that we can manipulate that in code. And first thing we're doing is making it non-interactable. We're blocking all the raycasts because we're bringing up a new menu over it. So we want to make sure that the menus that are under it disappear and are no longer interactable. So that's what we're doing. We're removing the interaction. We are making it invisible. Then we are hitting the options UI. In this case, for the options UI, in the other case, for the controls UI. But they effectively behave the same. We're just going to have a look at the options UI. So, like I said, nothing on the options. The options UI is what we'll be dealing with. Let me just get rid of all this extra rubbish. Is going to be dealing with just any of its own local logic. So it is disabled by default, which means that when we do actually click the button, this gets enabled and then it's on enabled, fires, and so on and so forth. We've got the lifecycle methods, which we'll just have a look at in a moment here. So, like I said, we're accessing the options UI. We are going to be feeding to it a reference to the button we have just come from, the canvas group of the menu, in this case, the main menu, that that we require in order for the options UI to then do some logic on it on its way out. I'll show you more about that in a second. And then lastly, we're going to actually enable it. So options UI, here we are. Very nice and simple. We have the reference to the button. We have the reference to some default button. Because we're supporting gamepads, we want, when you enter the menu, we want the selection to be over some default buttons. So that is what we're doing. We've got references to the calling object and the calling canvas group. And this is what allows us to manipulate the main menu UI canvas group while we are in the options UI. And this is important because when we are returning back, we want to do some setup. So, like I said, we're just going to set up some default selected item using the event system. Event system.current.set selected game object. We've got the default selected button already there, and we're just going to assign it. So we're going to say, hey, I want my return button to be the default button. Simply assign it. As you can see, the return button is the default button over here. Let's jump back. All right, so now that is on enabled, on disabled. It's just to clean up our references, nothing special here. Closing the menu is actually what we're doing when we hit the return button while in the options UI. And what it will do, this is actually where a lot of the smarts happen. So remember how we had set calling object and set calling canvas groups to set up the references over here? Those references, as you can tell, are now being used when we are closing the menu. So because we're closing the options menu that we have gone into, we want to make the main menu. So this is the calling canvas group because the main menu called the options menu. So the main menu, we're going to make it interactable for both mouse and keyboard, as well mouse and keyboard over there on interactable and gamepad. So we've got everything covered. We can now interact with it, and we're going to make it visible. Then what we're going to do is set up. Remember how I said we entered from the options to go into options, and when we got back out, it still had the options selected. That's what we're doing. We have passed in the calling object, and we are setting the calling object as the new selected item. After that, we're just going to disable this menu. Nice, clean, simple. That's pretty much how it's done. It's the exact same thing with the controls UI. and then you will be able to go within an option or within a menu element. You go in, and then when you come back out, it's nice and clean. It's already got the thing that's been selected last, and you have support for gamepad. Nice and simple. I hope this has been useful to somebody out there. Obviously, if you're really enjoying this content and you would like to see a little bit more, I try to release a video every Friday, so like, subscribe. Obviously, this little bell icon. I hate notifications. I know a lot of other people just get overwhelmed with it, but if you want to see this as it comes out, hit that bell icon. Otherwise, I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.